Mr. Steve back, and I just did a video on updates for Blender 4.5 LTS Alpha. Don't forget that. You'll lose a lot of data if you try to put your project files in that. However, wanted to go ahead and cover some really big updates that did not make it in the previous video. Don't forget to go click the links in the comments and the description. I'll actually put everything in the comments along with the tags for the timestamps so you guys can follow along. But there's some really big nodes out there right now that are going to be game changers. There's a lot of fixes out there. Let's go ahead and dig right in. Let's go ahead and build this out. We're going to need a little bit of vector math to arrange this. And this is what the devs in Cartesian came up with. So what we want to do is subtract the min from the max. Seems pretty standard to me. Want to accumulate field. And we're going to need to set this to vector. And then we can tag this into the vector value. We can cut this out actually. And I do want to bring my instance collection in here. Put that in. Let's get a set position node so we know what we're actually plugging into. So now what we can do is we can add, and we want to set this to instance because that's what we're working with. Separate, reset, a lot going on here. And we want to go ahead and add this into the position. Now, this isn't going to work too good right now because we need to add a multiply. So we have the proper control over this, and we can go on the X, the Y, the Z, whatever you want. I'll just do the X value here. Let's focus in on what we're doing. And if we go to like 1.5, we will be able to stack all of these instances out nice and even. And that works very good. Nice upgrade. As you can see, all of our instances are stacked out nicely. You can move them. You could zero it out here and do 0.5 or something like that. Whatever your spread is, whatever you want. So there you go. There's a nice new node and a good upgrade. All right, little tidbit of information. Before you get into the next part here, you need to go in and make sure developer extras is on. That's going to give you experimental. Then you have bundle and closure nodes. Functions, baby, functions. Let's do this. Are you guys ready for 2 new socket types in Blender? We've got bundles and we've got functions now. This is incredible. So we're just going to jump right into this. So just type in bundle or start typing it in and you'll get a combine bundle. It's a new node. So I'll throw in a cube. I want to tag it in, minimize it, and let's grab a cylinder, tag that in, and I will minimize that node. Now, what we need is something I think you could almost guess. You're now going to need to separate. Ooh, I got cap lock and everything else. You want to separate this just like you would separate regular geometry. Tag that in. Now we've got this set up. But now, when we want to plug this in, you're going to get an error right off. Okay, because this needs to be set up properly. Now you can name all of this the same if you want. So I'll just come in. I want to call this one cube and this input. I'm going to call this cube. And boom, we got a cube. So now we can come over here. And this could be mesh 001, I think. It should just be the same. And let's plug this input. Let's do that. There we go. So let's just plug this in. As long as the tag is the same here and here, then you will have your geometry realized. And then of course, I mean, this gets kind of endless really, really quick. And so now you'll have a nice little switch here and you can bundle all of these up. Now, what's next? Let's take a look at functions. All right, give you guys a little sneak peek into my OCP add-on so you can understand functions a little bit better if you don't already know. You get to do something almost like this now in geometry nodes. I mean, it's the same thing. So I'm running a function here. I name the function and then I set and reset variables. I put in custom integer value here and I run the script. The script is looping over mesh inside the scene and outputting a list. And then I get this list, I reverse it, and then by name output, I come over here and grab the indexed, and then I grab the bmesh. Okay, and once I've got the bmesh, I then check to see is the bmesh element valid. And then once it is, I will store the bmesh object data faces and that integer value collection length. That gives me the face count for my OCP add-on on one of these. Okay, and then of course, with all of this, I'm actually adding to the list OCP enum variable here and making enum items out of each one of those objects. Now, over in Blender, what we can do is get rid of all of this, and we're gonna have now what's called a closure zone. So grab your closure zone. I'm just kind of nicknaming it that because we have the simulation zone and we got the repeat zone. They just call this closure, not calling it anything else. So then we also have another node you need for this, and you need to be able to, at the end, evaluate the closure. Now, this is called PBD, Position-Based Dynamics. This is meant for hair simulations and dynamic positions for hair for geometry nodes. But it gives us a solver so we can throw something in here like a set position and get obviously that position, and we can tie all of this in, put the closure in. We can make sure, of course, all of this says geometry again, otherwise it's not going to work. And what we can do here is bring our group input right there, and boom. So now we can pass around functions inside of Blender. That's absolutely incredible. Yeah, so there you go. Now, what's next? Who knows? You guys will be able to use this inside of your simulations, and my mind's already running wild. So on to the next thing. Now we've got something a little interesting for Grease Pencil. Now over here in the previous Blender versions, we see we do not have Grease Pencil here, and we don't have that for one of the data passes. So what we can do is get rid of this for now, and we can create a little render setup here. I've got the Grease Pencil ready to go, and on the passes, I can come down and select that as well under data. And so if we go ahead and render this out, there we go. This will render if I have a camera in the scene, perhaps. And we can try that one more time. Now up here, we'll have the combined pass, but we can go to Grease Pencil and just show the Grease Pencil or whatever it is that we have in our scene. So that's a nice little update as well. Next on the agenda is the Mesh Boolean node. And not only that, but the modifier, Boolean, has now got an option for the solver from exact, float. And exact is good, it's the slowest one. Float is fast, but now manifold is the fastest. Okay, and I've got a little setup here. I'll actually make this blend file available for you guys so you can pick it up and just look at it. I'll put it on the Gumroad. Obviously, that'll just be like a little freebie. Just grab it. Project files. We got some transforms here, some cool stuff I just set up so you can see how fast it is. And this is pretty wild. Let's zoom in because I know sometimes YouTube, the way it is, it's kind of hard to see stuff. But you can see just how fast and accurate this is. And this is meant for manifold meshes. In other words, meshes that are closed. Yeah, so there you go. And by the way, if you're looking at this, I do have an edge set up with a quadrilateral for the curve. And I'm setting that by intersecting edges with the mesh to curve. So we've got a quadrilateral right here, and of course your new scale on the curve to mesh, don't forget that is a new thing, and this will follow the geometry very nicely. This material seemed to have gotten away from me. There we go. I'm not sure if the material is going to transfer through, but we'll see how that goes with the blend file. And then I've put an object info empty to control the matrix of this particular transform. You could do the same thing to this one. All you would do is come into the geo node set and throw in object info here, and we do have a new thing for components or matrix. You would switch this to matrix, and then you can plug the transform in, or you could do location, rotation, scale as well, and get similar results. No big deal. So that's very cool. Now let's take a look, and I haven't even done this one yet, but still it should be pretty cut and dry, pretty simple stuff here. So for this particular object and this one, let's just isolate those with a nice little /, and we can pick our active object, and let's go ahead and get a Boolean modifier. Now remember, this is only going to work in 4.5 LTS alpha right now, and then moving forward. This does not work in 4.4.3. So we're going to pick our object, which will obviously be the adjacent object. And by default, it is set to exact, but you can switch this to manifold. It does change some things, obviously. And what I might do, in fact, what I think I'm definitely going to do, because when you do this on the modifier, it should have an option to set this to wire. So otherwise, you have to go down here and go to visibility, viewport display as wireframe. No, that's not it. So visibility, and come down here. It's not textured, it would be wired. Then you can see the cut, and the cool thing about using that is it transfers the materials in on it, because obviously that material is the cutter. So then you could do stuff to it as usual, like in edge select. You could offer up a bevel here. I think that's pretty darn cool. There you go. And we can add an empty parent to that, and then I think hide it. That would be another option. So we can add a planes axis. Wait a minute, what are we doing here? Yeah, it's over there. So let's bring the cursor over here, and then let's bring the axis selected to cursor. This looks a little better. And if it's feasible, like I like to scale my empties just a little bigger, and we will parent this to this object. And now we should be able to hide that and have full control and scaling that because it's parented, and rotating it, and obviously your general transforms. So there's some powerful Boolean options for you guys. And here's yet another great reason to stick with the latest Blender, because we now have point clouds in the object drop-in menu, right? So now we can just drop in the point cloud directly into the 3D viewport from here. We can also, let's see, control tab, there we go. And I can jump into edit mode and press O, and O's not working in edit mode for some reason, but turn on proportional editing, grab one of these, and then you can now move them around as you see fit. This is pretty wild stuff. We can move individual ones. Let's pull that off, and I can just do whatever I want with these. Very cool. Yep, so there you go. Another great update, and you can see where this would go very quickly. Now let's jump into interface updates, things that you'll find in the edit preferences and in various places, and these could be quality of life improvements. I'll let you decide. And here's an interesting thing I think has been missing from Blender for a long time. We know that we can go in here and control middle mouse, and we can zoom or 4K up one of our panels here, and then we can press the home key to return it back to default settings. But the split between panels has always been so close. Every now and then it's just hard, it's not defined well enough. So if you go into interface, right here in edit preferences, we now have border width. Let's put this up to something like 5. Excellent, most excellent. I don't know why I just like that more. I like the separation. It almost looks like it's multiple programs in one, which Blender basically is anyways, and I think it gives it a little bit more class. So now you could change this. It's maxing out at 10. I wonder if we put in 50. It's not going to allow that. So it's got a min-max setting, but honestly, if you're at like, I guess 1 maybe would be the default, perhaps 2. I'd have to go back and look. Let's see. reset default values. So possibly it was always 2, I don't know. But like 3 seems really nice. There you go, there's another update, quality of life improvement for Blender. And another interesting interface update. If you'll notice, I only have so many tabs here, and that is because there's a new sync with outliner setting here where I can add or remove all of these tabs. Now you can clean things up. I never really use a certain number of these, like, yeah, so these probably don't use bones. I don't rig anything, so I would definitely use physics and constraints, objects, modifiers, so on, world, scene, and I don't want to show anything else, so now you can do that. That's going to be good. First of all, thanks for everybody who watched this entire thing. It helps support the channel, and if you also want to help support the channel, you can check out my collab buddies Blender Market, Superhive page. He's got the gift maker, to-do, maze maker, and some other very powerful add-ons. I also have a page as well, which you can see right here, and I've got 75% off of all of my add-ons to help you guys kick off summer in the right way. Now also, this is a very simple project file, but I'll make sure you guys can have this one too. Make sure that if you like this video, go ahead and smash that like, and if you want to see more material like this, go ahead and subscribe up, because I'm all about Blender updates, showing things for beginners, and add-ons. This is the collective idea of this entire channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.